Hey guys, I was going to talk about the financial system right now. However, I came out here, I put my feet on the ground so I get better grounding and to be closer to nature. And something came to mind, so I'm going to make a short, well, hopefully it's not the 15-minute short that I recorded the other day. But I was in Bible study this morning because I don't know the Bible that well. I got to where I got on my own using all kinds of texts, all kinds of teachings, anything that I could get my hands on. I read and I assimilated and I put together in my own way. So I was in Bible study this morning and they were talking about baptism, and they were basically, let's see, I'm going to see if I can paraphrase things the way they were. However, my memory was severely affected by the stroke, so it may not be word for word, so take everything that I'm saying with a grain of salt and filter it through your own inner voice. Your inner voice is the voice of your soul, which is connected to your spirit, which is connected to God. So before you listen to anybody else, I don't care if it's your mother, your father, your sister, your wife, your daughter, anybody. Nobody knows your way better than you. And the reason I say this is because if I had listened to other people, I would have been stuck somewhere working a 9 to 5, going nowhere fast in life, probably going to church, being brainwashed by outdated concepts. Let me clarify here. I'm not attacking the Bible, I'm not attacking God's word. I'm attacking people's interpretation of the God's word. Everybody understands the Bible according to the level that they have reached. When I read the Bible, I see completely different things than somebody else. And I say this not to say that I'm some extraterrestrial or some alien out of this world. I'm just like you. I breathe the same air like you, eat the same things you eat, go to the toilet the same way that you do everything else that you do. The only difference is I started digging into all these things when I was 19. There were books by Ernst Moldashev, I guess in English. They're incredible books. They talk about the pyramids, Stonehenge, the Kailash mountains, North Pole, South Pole, the Easter Islands, all the monuments that you can find. And basically those books, from what I remember, there's so much in those books that I remember very little of it. But what I do remember is that the distance between each monument is either 3,333 kilometers, 6,666 kilometers, or 9,999 kilometers. Now those monuments were built by the Lemurians. They're representatives of the third civilization. We're the fifth, going into the sixth. That's why there's so much disconnect between what some people are saying and what the old matrix, the people who are stuck in the old matrix are thinking, because we're switching from the fifth to the sixth civilization, and a lot of the things that people from the sixth civilization are saying are written in the Bible. They've been talked about for years, if not centuries. However, because they're said in a different language, using different terms, they're not familiar for people who have chosen to remain in the old matrix. So anyway, this is turning out to be a bit longer than I expected, with topics that I did not anticipate to talk about. However, everything is coming not according to me, it's according to higher powers. So this morning, this is what I want to talk about. This morning, we were talking about baptism. And the guys were asking, do you think if you're baptized when you're a child, when you're baptized the second time, if that makes a real difference? And why do you need to get baptized the second time? And while I don't have the answer to these questions, because I have not studied the Bible much, I read it as a kid, and I remember my mother reading to my sister and I when we were children. Then I did a little bit of reading on my own. However, I have not studied the Bible the way that many of you have studied the Bible. Like I said, I got to where I got using a lot of metaphysical and esoterical knowledge that is available online, and then my own inner voice that eventually I basically read so much. I was like, now what? I got all this knowledge and I don't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to continue. And I had heard about these spiritual guides. We had a group on Facebook. It's still there, and they kept talking about their spiritual guides. And after a while, I pretty much realized that if I wanted to continue, I needed to look into those spiritual guides. And I'll get back to the baptism, I promise. There's just so much coming that, yeah. But I reached out to a few people from the group, and some of them answered, others did not. Some of them had vague answers, but one girl who I appreciate very, very much, and all the other people as well, because they had contributed to that group significantly. And I appreciate each and every one of them. If they're watching this, they'll know who they are, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. But one girl agreed to show me how to reach my spiritual guides. Hey guys, we had to come inside because there was noise outside. I'll put it that way. So I don't know the Bible that well. If I remember correctly, that's as far as I got. I don't know the Bible that way, and that's where I'm going back to now to understand things in the Bible better. Now, while I was outside and I put my feet on the grass, I don't know what the second baptism is for. What I do know is that we have been created by using the four elements by the Creator. So, air, water, fire, and earth. That much I do know. So while I was standing out there and I had my feet on the ground, I remembered when I don't know if this was in the Bible or not, but I had read somewhere that when God had created us, He told all the other spirits in heaven. Heaven is just another word for the upper dimensions, but religious people, that's the word that they use. And by upper dimensions, I mean dimensions in which you don't have a physical body. You're a spirit, and you can materialize yourself anywhere. You can enter this body in and out as you please. So watch the Matrix. There's a lot in the Matrix that, if you remember, there's some spirits going through walls and materializing. All this stuff is real. It really is. It's just we do not have the capacity to be there and to do those kind of things. Now, when God had told all the angels before they had fallen out of heaven, I'm using religious words to be understood by religious people. For those who are looking to step out of that, you can use different words. That's completely fine. It's not the words that matter, it's the message. So when God had created us, He had told the angels to bow to His latest creation. And they said, no, we're not going to bow to this being made out of flesh. It's beneath us. We're better than that, so we're not going to bow to it. And I believe that's when pride happened and the falling of the angels happened. I believe it was it 1/3 or 2/3 of the angels fell out of heaven. I again, I don't know the Bible that well, so check for yourself here. Whatever I don't know, and I'm telling you that. And if you find other things that I don't know, or that if I'm mistaken about, I want to know about those things, because I'm looking for the truth. I'm not looking to be right. I'm looking for the truth, whatever the truth is. So that's how the first sin happened, and that's how the falling out of heaven happened. And we also talked about, what is the point of all of this, and and these are my own thoughts. I don't remember reading about this. I may have, but I just don't remember. So if we had stayed with God, with the Creator, with the Source, whatever name you give it, Him, It's more of an it because it contains male and female energy, but some people feel like that they're disrespecting God by calling him it. Okay, so don't you disrespect women by calling him, because there's a male and female energy within God. It contains everything. Nothing can exist outside of God because he's the source of it all. So it contains absolutely everything. But whenever the falling out of the what is the point of all of this? Well, whenever we were with Source, with God, we knew we were there, we were happy, everything was great, but we did not have the self-awareness of it. You cannot appreciate something until it's gone, right? So when you fall out of heaven and you experience this miserable life, when you have to work for every single little thing by yourself and give your sweat and tears and have relationships destroyed and suffer so much, then you really learn to appreciate the upper dimensions where you're just spirit and you don't want to come back here. Because you have the self-awareness of it. Up to that point, it's like, what example can I give? If you've had a Ferrari from the moment that you were born, and you never ever had a day without it, you wouldn't know what you have. That's why spoiled kids or kids that are spoiled and have rich parents, they don't know what it is to work for that money. They don't know, they haven't gone through the process of earning that money so they can appreciate it and know how to keep it. They just spend it. That's why in many cases, somebody will have a fortune and then generations after that, they go broke. Or if they're not taught how to keep wealth, how to generate wealth and keep it long term, then inflation and the system will eat the money away. The same concept goes for heaven. And I say heaven because that's what most people they use. Again, it's the upper dimensions where you don't have a physical body and you're just spirit. And I say this on purpose. So by us choosing to, we let's say that I think I used that okay, so we'll just say that this is source. And here I want to throw a little disclaimer. Recently I read that Petar Dunov had said that he was talking to somebody and he had asked, do you know what God is? And the other guy said no. And being Saduno said, God is something that has a center everywhere and periferia. For periferia. So I had to look the word up. I mix my words both in English, Bulgarian, and Spanish sometimes, so bear with me. And I'm not going to erase it because I don't have time to edit the videos and do all that, and I think it's more authentic that way also. So, God or source is a being with center everywhere and periphery nowhere. So I'm just going to draw a bunch of circles. Wow, look at that. It's just like the rays of the sun. I didn't know it was going to work out like that, but okay. You constantly discover new things as you go. Then you have a bunch of rays this way. So, like this? Okay.
Yes.
So, right here. Oops. Will get better as time goes by. Now look at that. This right here is you. This right here is me. This is Tanya. That's Tom right there eating his food. This is Bella, my dog. This is Mocha. And this is your mom, your dad. So on and so forth. Imagine a gazillion different entities out there that have separated themselves from the source, technically. But so by you choosing to get out of this, the central sun, the sun of all suns, because there's more than one suns out there. It's just in our galaxy there is one. The center of it all, the motherhood, where it all started, when you choose to leave that and become Vince or Tanya or Michael or Jerry or Anita or whoever else it may be out there. You come down here deep, deep, deep into matter. Dense spirit becomes matter. Everything comes from the spirit. And if I'm wrong, correct me, but I don't think that I am. We're just dense, very dense spirit. Once this body dissolves, I go back to matter. To spirit, not to matter. I am matter now. I go back to spirit. Sorry. So you choose to experience yourself outside of God, if that can even exist. There are beings on this planet who have chosen to live outside of the universal rules and to live outside of the pretty much universal rules, to create their own rules and do all that. I don't even know if that's possible. Because if it's happening, then the source, it was somewhere within the source. Nothing can exist outside the source. In other words, if you're creating, the creation can never surpass the creator. You can never be better than what created you. Does that make sense? You can be as good as the creator, but you can never be better than the creator, because that's what gave you life. So in order for you to become better, then you need to know something that the source doesn't know, and that's just impossible. It's impossible. If you guys are not following me, then please let me know. I'll be happy to break things down in a different way that is more easily understood. Now, so what I'm saying here, it's a very simple point that I'm making. By you leaving the source, can you see it right here?
Yes.
By you leaving the source, going out on your own, and looking, putting pieces together, piece by piece, by piece by piece, you are hold on, I have too many thoughts and I'm losing myself in them. I'm trying to organize them. So I said all of this to make a very simple point, and this is the point. When Johnny was with Source, he did not what it was to be outside of this circle. He could not appreciate everything that he was given inside that circle. All the food, all the 12 spirits don't eat and drink, but that's another story. Picture anything that you can have. It was given to you like this. It was manifested instantly. You cannot appreciate it because you have never experienced the lack of that. So by you leaving that and becoming this tiny little thing, by you going down that path and coming back up, you now know, if I'm not here, there's a great lack of things out there in the universe. So I better appreciate this if I want to stay there. So you have a better awareness, a better understanding of yourself. You have gotten this much closer to God, to the Creator, even though you were part of the creation. Because all of this that you see around me, I did not create this. I did not create anything. I didn't even create this body. I'm not even sure if the thoughts that I'm having are my thoughts. Because as I'm speaking, I'm feeling heat right here, which means that Benisa Duno and Jesus are explaining things through me. So it's just an illusion of self. There's no real true self. And I'm going to let you guys in on another secret that I was given years ago. But this is like deep, deep metaphysics and esoterics. No, it's okay, Donnie. You don't have to pause it. I was told this. There's only one being in the entire universe. I'll explain. You and I are the same being, just in different bodies. Because you cannot while you're right here, while I'm in this head, I cannot see myself outside for myself. So I need something to mirror me in order for me to understand myself better. So I'm not God. I'm not claiming to be God. I will never be God or the source. I just want to make that very clear. However, have you guys noticed, let's take any sports game out there. You have, I played soccer, so I'll take soccer for example. You have 11 players. Each one of them has a place on the field, but they still have a coach. Tanya, why do they still have a coach? Aren't they great players? Why is that? Why do you need a coach?
They need someone with experience.
Okay.
They need guidance, organization. They cannot be running around like chicken without heads.
Sure. What if you're Messi or LeBron James or Cristiano Ronaldo or Pele or any of those great players? What can they learn from coaches that they cannot learn from themselves?
There's always something to learn.
They cannot see themselves outside of themselves.
Yes, exactly.
They cannot see the game. They cannot watch the whole game while they're in the middle of the game. You have to be outside of the game so you're calm, relaxed, and you can direct your players, right? At halftime. Right? Because if you're inside the game, you're like, I gotta watch for this defender. wait, this guy's coming. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. You don't see what the goalkeeper is doing. You can't see what's happening behind you, right? But your coach can, right?
Yep.
So you need to create the illusion of something external, and that's why the creator. And this is my personal opinion. And I'm getting a download as we speak. I was told, and I'll go exactly into how it happened. It's Vesica Piscis. You can look up Vesica Piscis, or I'll just draw it for you right here. Create one circle, then another circle, then another circle, then another circle. And you have all these circles right here. Right? This is the initial circle. Just picture it. Put Vesica Piscis out there. It's from sacred geometry, and you'll understand things a lot better. This is number one. This is the first circle. This is you can also do the flower of life. There's tons of things out there that you can look into. This is, from what I understand, this is coming straight from the source right now. And it's telling me that in the beginning it was very, very lonely. He knew, or it knew, that there was something. He had awareness of himself, but it was all darkness, right? How does the Bible start? In the beginning, it was the Word, right? So speech, vibrations, sound, that's the beginning of it all. And let me just get Tanya, pause it. Hey guys, Tanya had to go, so I don't have a director um, for right now. So I started things on my own. So I remember, and I could be confused, but I remember the Bible as a kid starting with, in the beginning, basically the Gospel according to St. John. And this is how I remember it. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So, words, right? When you make a word, it has a sound, it creates a vibration through space, probably time as well. Right here, you have these vibrations, and by the way, you have two frequencies. Right here, the bottom ones. Well, here I'll just make it separate so that you don't get confused. Fear, love. You have two basic vibrations right here. These, the ones that have the ups and downs, they're much slower. These are the vibrations of fear. The ones that are higher, in other words, the frequencies are much higher frequencies, right? That's why I say, you may have seen me in my post say, raise your vibrations. That's what I mean by raise your vibrations, so that you get closer to the vibrations of love. Because if you're vibrating at the vibrations of fear, you're stuck in the same matrix that's being dismantled right now. It's being destroyed. My advice is turn off your TV. They're feeding you garbage. They're giving you a reality that you do not want to be a part of. All the TV stations have been bought by 6 companies the last time I remember, but by now it could be 5, 4, 3, or even 1. These conglomerates, they buy each other off. The bigger beast buys the smaller beast, so it becomes a bigger beast. And so on and so forth. And if you're still watching TV and listening to the radio and all of this, and you're not thinking independently, you're being led deeper into matter, which is totally fine. If that's your personal choice, I totally respect that. I just want you to be aware of what's actually happening so that you can make the choice for yourself. You're not being fooled into making a choice that you're not aware of what's actually happening. I chose to reincarnate in this, but reincarnation is real. I'll talk about this another time. It's actually mentioned in the Bible as well. It was not denied by Jesus. That's a different topic. I chose to enter this body so that I can fulfill a certain mission, so I can do a certain task. But I made that choice well aware of what I was getting myself into. Half the people out there are not aware of what's happening. They don't know why things are happening the way they're happening, and they're not aware of the consequences. They don't know that the virtual reality that we're creating right now is essentially creating an entire new version of you, an entire new identity. I don't want that. I want back to the source. I'm fine with as you know, this is as deep as it gets for me. I'm not going deeper into matter. I'm fine with that. If you want to explore what's there, that is totally okay, my friend, with me. Eventually, you'll go back to the source, or you'll be eliminated because your energy is going to be swallowed by the void, which is the zero right here. This is the dark guy. Ariman, I think he goes by this name. So by you going deeper into matter, you're getting closer and closer to Ariman. And let me tell you about Ariman. This is what I saw. I saw him sitting down. Wait. How do you draw a being sitting down? I don't know. I promise I'll make a computer version of this so it's more easily understandable. So in one of my meditations, is this visible right here, honey?
Yes.
Okay. We'll give him some horns. And some eyes so that you know who he is. But it was all this right here was all black. It was surrounded by blackness, by darkness. And what he's doing, what his job is to attract the weaker souls. And he does that by temptation, whether it's lust, whether it's greed, or all the other 7 sins out there that you know about probably better than me. So he tempts you, and what I know about him is that he was given all the powers that God has, except he does not have his own source of energy. So in other words, he needs God to stay alive, because otherwise he's done, he's gone, he's dead. So he constantly needs to reap all these souls to keep himself strong. So he attracts you. He's like, I'll give you this, but you gotta give me your soul. You gotta give me all your energy. So you have a short-term pleasure and long-term damnation. How great is that, right? And I say this because he had tempted me also. I had to, and I still have to overcome. At every level, you're being met, and you're being tested, and you have to pass. Every single level, even though Jesus is showing me the way, even though some of the things the source told me, God told me right now to share with you guys, I am still being tested on a daily basis by temptation, by the darkness, by Ariman. And I don't want to say his name too much, because when you call him, you attract him. So, yeah, just remember that at every single level, you are being tested. But here's the thing, without the bad guy, without the minus, right? Can you really know that there's a plus, right? Without the minus, can you understand that you are a plus? Without your dark side, can you understand that you have a light side, right? That's why you have the yin and the yang. This right here, these are portals. You go back from one into the other, from spirit into matter, from matter into spirit. These are portals from one to the other. And by spirit becoming denser and denser, you go into matter, you understand things as deep as you want to understand them, and then you find your way back. Even if you get lost, you'll find your way back. Just follow your inner voice. Your inner voice is the voice of your soul, again, which is connected to the spirit, which is connected to God. So you cannot go wrong by following your inner voice. You can go wrong by listening to your neighbor or your mom or your dad or somebody on the street. I'm not saying don't listen to those people. I'm just saying everything, the final decision should be yours, because I don't know better than you what you have come here for to experience. I don't know your lessons. I don't know your karma. I don't know anything about you. So I'll give you advice from my perspective. And I'll give you the best advice that I can give you. But I don't know better than you what your path is. You know that. So don't listen to me. Don't listen to anybody. Or do, but the final say should be your say. You following your inner voice. And I'm just going to explain this right here, and I'll end the video because it's getting long, and these are pretty deep concepts. It may be too much for some people. So this right here is the Vesica Piscis. And what I was whispered a long time ago, before the stroke, it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. I was sitting here one night on the computer, and I was told that this circle right here felt loneliness. If you cannot picture this, just go to bed and close your eyes right now and imagine you're blind. Now turn off your ears. You can't hear either. You cannot speak. You cannot breathe. You don't have any of those functions. You're suffocating, and you're enclosed in this tiny, tiny little box. And you know that there's something outside of that box, but you don't remember the formula to get out of that box. Because, and I have confirmed this with a friend of mine, that person heard the same things. That's how I know that I'm not insane, I'm not going crazy. But I asked the source, is there something out of you, something more than you? And it or he said, yes, there is. There's the pre-creator, there's an ancient creator it's older than the age of the universe, which is 9.5 billion years old. It's older than that, but nobody remembers the formula. So the point of all of these dots, imagine an unlimited number of dots, right? The scientists, they already know there's an unlimited number of stars, galaxies, planets, imagine each being on those planets, and so on and so forth. That's an unbelievable. I can't even picture it, right? I cannot even picture all of that, but it's there, right? You can't tell me the stars don't exist. You can't tell me the planets don't exist, even though they want to convince me that there's no aliens and that out of these gazillion numbers of stars and planets, then by some miracle, we're the only living things. That everything else around us is dead. Come on, that's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. There's other civilizations. We're just being lied to, so we're kept under control. You're kept with your mouth shut, working your 9 to 5, going nowhere in life. That's it. That's as far as you're supposed to get. And we'll talk about how that happens. But there's something outside of God, something outside of the source of everything. It or he does not remember the formula. So it created everything that it could create. It created the stars, the planets, air, fire, water, earth, trees, trash cans, cars, people, animals, plants, bacteria, nanoparticles. That all of this is, consists of tiny little particles. And the sole purpose of all of this is to find that first creator of everything, because it was lost. And that's the purpose of you, that's the purpose of me, that's the purpose of everything around us. Absolutely everything around us. And I had a thought, it just disappeared from my head, and maybe I wasn't supposed to say it. So I believe in the Bible. The Bible is real. I just have a different interpretation. I strive to explain things scientifically. And science is going to catch up with the metaphysics, with spirituality, with all these things that all these crazy people are talking about. Yeah, so I think I'll cut off the video right here, and I may make an addition later because I had something in my head. Tanya, would you please pause it for just a second? What I was told after I paused the video is that, oh yeah, so two things, and I'll try not to forget. Sorrow and make things better. So that first being, the source of it all, felt lonely. And by it splitting itself into two, just like you have one cell, then, right? One cell divides into two from biology, and then those cells divide into other cells, and so on and so forth. But by it dividing itself into so many different pieces, it gives the illusion that the source is not alone. And it's not, things are not empty, right? Like Jesus said, I'm the Alpha and the Omega. Well, I think God said those words through Jesus, but he said, I'm the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, everything and nothing, plus and minus, day and night, hot and cold, man and woman, and so on and so forth. There's dualities all around. But I'm being told right now that it gives the illusion that it is not alone, that the source is not alone. And once those formulas are found that lead back to whatever was before God, then it will be complete and things will get even better. Because then it will know where all that knowledge came from and more. So it will be complete. And once God or the source finds its creator, then his mission will be fulfilled. And he can join that creator again, and he no longer has to feel lonely. Because what I'm being told right now is that he experiences joy and happiness and love and all the other great feelings through us, but deep inside he feels a void. He feels the loss for that first, the pre-creator. And once he's reunited with that first creator, he will be extremely joyous and happy. And even more things can be created, and we can be even happier. So I think that's enough. We're probably going into an hour, and this was supposed to be a short message. I never know how long these are going to be, because there's just so much stuff that I had learned over the years that I start about one thing, and then there's 12 other things that come to me. So forgive me. You can watch this into pieces. You can turn it off right after it starts. You can keep scrolling. Anything and everything is fine with me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, they're always welcome. May the source be with you.